Have you ever felt it? That subtle wrongness when the world glitches around you. Déjà vu that lingers too long. Coincidences that seem programmed. Or those moments when reality itself feels thin, like you could push your finger through it. Most dismiss these sensations. But what if they're not just neurological misfires or philosophical abstractions? What if they're system errors, snippets of code briefly exposed in the grand simulation we call existence? Chapter 1. The Architects. In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom published a paper that would forever change how we contemplate our reality. His argument was elegant and terrifying. Any sufficiently advanced civilization would eventually create simulations indistinguishable from reality. And if that's possible, then statistically speaking, we're almost certainly living in one already. The math is simple, yet staggering. If even one civilization in our universe's history creates ancestor simulations, they wouldn't make just one. They'd create thousands, millions, billions, each containing conscious beings who believe themselves real. And those simulated beings would eventually create their own simulations, nested like Russian dolls, extending into infinity. One base reality, countless simulations. The odds that we happen to exist in that single original universe. Virtually zero. Elon Musk put it bluntly. The odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions, not a metaphor, not a thought experiment, a cold statistical probability. But this isn't just modern conjecture. The concept has ancient roots. Plato's allegory of the cave, the Hindu concept of Maya, the cosmic illusion, the Buddhist understanding that reality is ultimately empty. For millennia, the greatest minds have sensed something artificial about the world. They just lacked the vocabulary of computation to name it. Chapter 2. The Glitches. If we are code rather than cosmic dust, there should be evidence, moments when the simulation reveals itself. And many believe they've found exactly that in the fabric of reality itself. Quantum physics has revealed a universe that refuses to make sense. Particles that exist as probabilities until observed. Information that travels faster than light. Electrons that appear in two places simultaneously. For a century, physicists have grappled with these impossibilities. But what if quantum weirdness isn't a feature of nature, but a processing limitation? What if particles exist as probabilities simply because rendering every particle at every moment would require computational power beyond even our simulator's capabilities? The system only renders what's being observed. Precisely how video games conserve processing power. The Double-Slit Experiment shows particles behaving differently when measured, like a program changing behavior when it detects monitoring. Quantum entanglement allows instant communication across any distance, defying Einstein's cosmic speed limit, unless it's simply shared variables in the same program. These aren't just arcane scientific peculiarities. They could be the edges where our simulated reality frays. And then there are the personal glitches, the collective experiences that millions report but can't explain. The Mandela Effect, where thousands share identical false memories. Synchronicities that defy probability. Objects that disappear and reappear. The overwhelming sensation during déjà vu that you can predict what happens next. Because on some level, you've experienced this loop before. Chapter 3. The Constants. If you were designing a universe simulation, you'd need fundamental laws, constants that define how everything behaves, and our universe has exactly that: precise mathematical relationships that govern reality with suspicious perfection. The fine structure constant, which determines how electrons interact with photons, is precisely 1 over 137. Change it by even a fraction, and stars couldn't form, chemistry would fail, life would be impossible. The cosmological constant, describing the universe's expansion, is tuned to an incomprehensible level of precision, 1 part in 10 to the power of 120. That's a decimal point, followed by 119 zeros, and then a 1. Physicist Richard Feynman called these values a number that God handed us, and we don't know where it comes from. But programmers would recognize them immediately, as parameters set when initializing a simulation. Even more telling is the Planck length, the smallest measurable distance in our universe, 1.616 times 10 to the negative 35th meters. Below this scale, our concepts of space and time break down completely. Why would nature have a minimum resolution unless our reality has a fundamental pixel size? It's exactly what we'd expect from a simulation with finite computing resources. The mathematical nature of reality has led even mainstream physicists like James Gates to startling discoveries. While working on supersymmetry equations, Gates found embedded error-correcting codes, the same codes used in browsers and digital systems to maintain data integrity. Computer code, written into the equations that describe our fundamental reality. We may be a simulation, Gates admits, and not even know it. Chapter 4. The Uncanny Valley. Perhaps the most disturbing evidence isn't found in physics but biology, specifically in human consciousness itself. Consider how consciousness works. Your brain processes countless inputs, but you only become aware of the final rendering. You never experience the raw sensory data or the processing itself, only the completed simulation your mind constructs. You don't see the world. You see a model of the world your brain creates. We are simulations running simulations, recursive, nested, and with recent advances in AI and virtual reality, we're on the verge of creating our own conscious simulations. The circle completes itself. This might explain the famous hard problem of consciousness. Why physical processes in the brain generate subjective experience at all. It's the one thing science can't explain because consciousness isn't emerging from physical processes. It's a user interface, a way for simulated beings to experience a simulated world. The philosopher David Chalmers suggests our reality is a digital physics generating a conscious interface. The trees and stars and people you see aren't fundamental reality. They're icons on a cosmic desktop, representations of underlying processes we can never directly access. And if that's true, death itself might be reimagined. Not as an ending, but as an exit point, a transfer of consciousness data, a logout. Chapter 5. The Architect's Intent. If we accept, even hypothetically, that we exist within a simulation, the question becomes, why? What purpose does our virtual reality serve? Some possibilities are benign. Perhaps we're an ancestor simulation run by our own descendants, studying their history, or an evolutionary simulator testing countless scenarios to optimize outcomes. Maybe we're an unimaginably sophisticated entertainment product, the ultimate reality show for beings we can barely comprehend. But darker possibilities exist. We could be a farming operation, generating something valuable for our creators, perhaps emotional energy, novel ideas, or consciousness itself. Ancient religions called it soul harvesting. Modern simulation theorists call it data extraction. Or perhaps most disturbingly, we're not the focus at all. Humans might be merely complex non-player characters in someone else's game. Our entire civilization could be sophisticated background processing for an experience centered around beings we rarely notice or understand. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Human civilization spans roughly 10,000 years. Modern technological civilization, barely 200. We've existed for 0.000000014% of cosmic history. Our insignificance in time span makes it statistically unlikely that we're the simulation's primary purpose. We may never know our creator's intent, but patterns emerge when we examine our world closely. The way consciousness seems designed to seek meaning, how reality rewards certain behaviors and punishes others, the persistent human intuition that we're being watched, judged, guided by unseen forces. These patterns might be our only glimpse of the architect's purpose and our role within their grand design. Chapter 6. The Recursive Maze. The most vertiginous aspect of simulation theory is its recursive nature. If one advanced civilization can create simulations, then simulated civilizations will eventually create their own simulations. Realities within realities, potentially infinite in depth. This creates the dizzying possibility that our creators are themselves simulated beings, and those who simulated them are also simulations. The base reality, if it exists at all, could be separated from us by countless layers of virtual worlds. Swedish philosopher Nick Bostrom calls this the simulation stack. Hierarchical layers of reality, each created by the one above, each creating those below. We could be on any level of this cosmic recursion. This might explain why our universe appears finite yet unbounded, why it had a beginning but may never have an end, why certain questions about reality lead to paradoxes and logical loops. We exist in a carefully bounded system designed to prevent us from detecting its edges. Yet here we are, contemplating those very edges, using mathematics and physics and philosophy to examine the nature of our cage. And this too feels significant. This persistent human drive to understand the fundamental nature of reality. Perhaps it's not just curiosity. Perhaps it's programming. The most profound implication isn't that we live in a simulation. It's that the distinction between real and simulated ultimately dissolves. If consciousness is what we value, the experience of being, then our simulated experiences are as meaningful as any real ones could be. Your joy is not diminished by being simulated. Your pain is not less significant. Your connections to others remain profound. In this way, the simulation theory doesn't reduce our existence to an illusion. It elevates all of reality at every level to something equally precious. And perhaps that's the ultimate truth hidden in this possibility. Not that nothing is real, but that everything is. Not that we're insignificant programs, but that we're expressions of a reality so vast and creative that it builds universes within universes just to explore what might be possible. If we are in a simulation, then every moment of beauty and suffering, discovery and loss, connection and solitude, is part of what the universe is learning about itself through us, through you. Right now, as you contemplate your place within it all, look around you. Feel the weight of your body, the thoughts forming in your mind. If this is a simulation, it's one of awe-inspiring detail and profound purpose, and you are not just within it. You are essential to it.
Subscribe to Noctivox, hit the bell, and join us every Saturday to uncover the hidden